Hey, look who I ran into.
Hi, what's up? How you doing? I'm Andre. I'm from Black Nerd Comedy, and now I'm up on here. Yeah, I'm taking over. This is my channel now. I've decided to. Yeah, this is mine.
No, I
Bye.
can't. I can do it too.
Nope.
I can.
Hi, I'm Andre. Welcome to 2 Drink Minimum. This is now my channel. I have now taken over his channel, and yours is next, and yours, and yours, and yours.
From the pages of the World Wrestling Federation magazine, here's updates.
Previously on the countdown.
I got China, okay? Now listen, the reason I got China... listen!
I'm talking about the game Triple H, two-man power trip Triple H with the IC belt. A name you'll never forget.
Like, when he was the Intercontinental Champion, not only did it look good, it was aesthetically pleasing when you saw this big soldier-looking dude coming out with his belt, and you knew he was an MMA background. You knew he was a legend in that sport.
His wife was taken off from the Indies. That's what was taken off.
First off, watch some of his clips, okay?
She can get it.
No question. That's why he's giving it to her. Shouts to Cody. Here's the thing, though.
By the way, Cody, go see Get Out. My number 8 is his number 9, the world's most dangerous man, Ken Shamrock. Kofi was my favorite wrestler at a certain point, my favorite active wrestler at a certain point, with my favorite title. Fucking yes, the Intercontinental Championship is my favorite title. Seeing Kofi with it and seeing him defend as short as those reigns were, I dug it. I've dug every part of it.
I am a fan of MTV's Real World, and I have been for quite some time. So this next person on my IC list
start talking that Hall of Fame
awesome. Okay, and his wife is fucking hot. Okay? Mr. Brent here destroyed the footage of this tape. Okay,
I didn't destroy it.
He destroyed it on purpose because I kicked his ass the first time.
I just
He said, "Fuck it."
Hold the fuck
I don't
on
want
now, because I knew he would spout this bullshit. Better watch it before this shit gets damaged.
I gotta give it to my man Eddie Guerrero, man. I really.
We gotta give it to Eddie Guerrero. He's my number 6 too.
Perfect. We can do this one together. Say hi.
It's back. We're back.
You know what this is? This is, ladies and gentlemen. This is awesome. Back at it.
My number 5 is Shelton Benjamin. Boy, Shelton Benjamin. World's greatest tag team, Shelton Benjamin. Once again, we're talking about aesthetically, he just looked good. He just looked perfect with that Intercontinental Championship belt. His matches were stupid sick. I feel like he should have had belt longer and or more times. And like the aforementioned ones, he was one of those guys that could have stepped up to the next level and easily fit in as a world champion. And if he comes back, which, you know, the rumor is he's still maybe shoulder off or whatever. Yeah. Hopefully they don't just pocket him in the fucking mid card, although they probably will.
He's going to SmackDown.
Benjamin.
He's supposed to be going to SmackDown.
He did.
So he may have a chance.
He didn't. Fucking Shelton Benjamin, man. My number 5. Like, what else? What the fuck else can you say? But Shelton Benjamin, Intercontinental Champion, ridiculous.
You know what I will say? Here's one thing I will say. The reason I like Shelton over Kofi was just figure-wise. Kofi has that thing in the middle of his chest where he's flat right there for some reason.
Yeah.
And he can never get
He
bulk
never
of
developed it. Yeah.
Shelton looks like a genuine heavyweight. You know, he looks like he can fuck you up. And then he can.
Yeah.
On top of it. He's
and
a
fly,
champion.
too, at the same time.
He was athletic as hell. He just...
Incredible.
Enough said about Shelton Benjamin right now. My number 5 is Reza Ramon, okay? That's my guy. Because he just was so fucking cool, man. Just the...
Yeah.
Like him and Michaels, man, they had some of the greatest matches for the IC belt. The ladder match, like all these different matches and just that surrounded that entire era. I think it really put it in a pocket of the differences of what WWE was doing, grooming stars and making stars and really establishing personality types. And even though they left and went to WCW, right? Those were stars that were created and built up that were younger. And that's why they were such competition.
Right.
Because they hadn't hit their peak yet when they left.
Right.
It wasn't like Hogan, it wasn't like Savage and them. Yeah, they brought eyes.
Yeah.
But those guys, Razor, Nash, like all these guys really, really had a lot to give because they were so talented and their characters were so entrenched. And then just like I said, just such a smooth, cool character, man. My favorite thing about him, honestly, was the fact that he was kind of an in-between. He was huge, actually. He was about 6'7"?
He was 6'7", 287, build ass.
Big as shit because he was next to Nash all the time.
That's right.
You looked at him like he was a smaller
That's
guy.
right.
But then when he jacked somebody up for Razor's Edge, you looking like, that's a big motherfucker.
That's
He can
a
do
long
it.
drop.
And also,
That's a long drop.
That's a long ass drop. And also, he has some of the most understated, underrated punches in history.
Amazing
His punches were fucking beautiful. When they had the fake Razor, who I was watching the other day, I never knew they had a title shot. Him and fake Diesel had a title shot at
tag title shot against Owen and Bulldog, right?
Exactly. The punches were the thing that really gave him away that he wasn't Razor. When you watch his punches, he was just selling. Like Razor, man. Razor was phenomenal. He's a great in-ring tactician. He was great on the mic. He could really incite you one way or another. He had some great matches around the IC title, so that's why he's my number 5. Number 4, I'm actually going back to where he went. Shelton Benjamin, man. Shelton Benjamin is number 4 on my list because I'm young and black. That's why he's number 4 on my list. That's what I can say. Shelton Benjamin was fucking phenomenal. He carried the black torch very well, okay? Till they made him the gold standard. I didn't like that shit.
I didn't like the gold standard either.
I thought, you know, I like black dudes that look like me, and the fact that they tried to make him blonde hair, it ruined it. But aside from that,
he looked like a reject from another bad creation.
That's right. When he used to have the blue though, when he had the blue and ain't no stopping me, oh, the music would hit.
Yeah.
My boy Scott Velasco, shout out to Scott. Every day he would come into the classroom, and because I was young and black, as I said, I don't know if you can tell, but he would say, ain't no stopping me, oh, every day, because I would be sitting there. So I was basically Shelton Benjamin, is what I'm saying. He would just say it every single time he saw me. He was a Spanish dude. Every single time. And it was great, man. We used to watch it, and he put on so many performances. Like, he was Kofi before Kofi, basically, in my opinion. And then he was bigger. So he kind of had that in-between, like, very similar build to Shamrock, actually. Very
now that you
mentioned, like, the type of body they had. Like, if you're creating somebody on a video game, especially the older video games, they had, like, 3 shapes. You had the skinny guy, you had the really fat guy that was humongous, and then you had, like, the diesel guy.
Yeah.
That was them. Both of them had that shape. So the fact that he could do what he could do with it, though, the athleticism behind it, the spring, the vertical, all those kinds of things, Shelton was phenomenal, man. And his run with Triple H, I thought it was amazing. Yeah. I thought it was like, you know, putting him right on that cusp. Yeah. I was hoping they did what they did with Jericho, you know, where it was the launch, the real launch. But it's WWE. He was black, you know, it happens.
Right.
It always happens.
And not particularly.
Can we take a second for the something happens?
Yeah.
Just look in the camera and let them know. Something always happens. Okay.
And he wasn't particularly great on the mic.
Right, no, he wasn't.
And Vince has a problem with guys not being great on the mic, even though you don't necessarily need to be.
Brock Lesnar can't talk.
Right. Give him a manager or just have him shut up and beat people up.
Something always happens. I'm just saying. Okay? Bobby Lashley, he couldn't talk. He's like Lesnar's size. But
they were going to push him. They pushed him to the fucking moon, regardless of how boring his ass was. My number 4, Rob Van Dam. Again, just looked so fucking good with the belt, and his matches were fucking sick and fucking insane for that Intercontinental Championship. I again go back to him versus Eddie over the belt. RVD with the Intercontinental Championship, those matches were stupid sick. But because RVD was. Because RVD was stupid sick.
Dude.
And now that I think about it, looking at this, he probably fits the mold better than anybody on this list so far of the Intercontinental Championship being a stepping stone toward a heavyweight championship. And easily RVD is World Heavyweight Champ was something people, it wasn't just something people saw like Shelton Benjamin or something like that. People were fucking clamoring for RVD as a world champion. They should have played into the fact that he got caught with weed instead of taking the belt off the board. He fits the persona of what WWE tries to put over the IC Championship as a stepping stone. It really was for him. His matches. It's just the matches. The matches were so fucking good. Him as Intercontinental Champion. Every fucking Monday and pay-per-view.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. I was going to say, it wasn't that they were just clamoring, but it was the fact that he was delivering every single match. You were watching during that stretch. It was him and Jeff Hardy. Those were the two that you were watching. but RVD was much more fluid with his
Yeah.
motion. Jeff
Yeah.
Hardy was always very wild, herky-jerky with his movement.
Right.
Rob Van Dam had very similar athleticism and risk-taking ability without looking so dangerous and
Right.
actually putting himself in positions
He was
to
accurate.
destructive.
He was pinpoint accurate with his
Extremely
shit.
accurate.
Every
Even
kick,
his
every
five-star,
splash, everything was
one.
accurate.
Every single one of them. So I'm right there with you on that one.
My number 3 is Mr. Goddamn Perfect.
Okay.
He was what he said he was, and he said he was perfect. And he was. And he was the perfect goddamn Intercontinental Champion. The fact that Perfect was in WWF for so long without a belt is strange. If you go back and you look at him debuting, he debuted around WrestleMania 5, and like that stretch where he was undefeated and he didn't have a belt. It was fucking. It's weird to see him with at least not be in the Intercontinental hunt.
You know who he is? Bray Wyatt, currently.
What do you mean?
In the sense of Bray didn't have a title until just this year. Like, he was relevant. I'm not going to put them on the same, plane as far as that goes, but I'm saying, like, from the sense of they were relevant characters that were always on screen.
Except Perfect wasn't a jobber for a number of years. That's the main issue I have with Bray winning the championship right now, is that he's been jobbing out so often, so quickly.
That's fair.
Like, they haven't made him look like a winner for so long. It's hard to see.
Wrong.
It's hard to see him as a champion now. They need to have him look like a winner more, and then I can see him as a champion. Mr. Perfect was always, by hook or by crook,
Yeah.
Mr. Perfect always looked like a champion even when he lost.
You won't hear me say he's right, but I will say he's not right.
Yeah, that's because I'm right.
The guy's
That's
not
because I'm
right.
right, motherfuckers. Because I'm right. We talked about the thing where Intercontinental champs weren't necessarily heavyweight champs. I feel that fits the mold of Mr. Perfect.
Yeah.
I feel him as heavyweight champ wouldn't necessarily have worked because of the style of WWF at the time. His work rate was still there. Had he been in NWA or WCW at the time, they easily would have given him the belt.
They would have pushed him.
But in WWF, Intercontinental fit him better, if for no other reason than because he had that allotted 10-15 minutes to work. Not necessarily just go out there and bump around for Hogan or whatever. And
true.
He went out there and he worked. But that SummerSlam shit, him and Bret Hart, fucking classic. He made Warrior fucking look good. Him and Texas Tornado.
Saying a lot.
Him and the fucking Big Boss Man
Yeah.
from WrestleMania 7. Motherfuckers sleep on that match. But not only did Boss Man look like a viable Intercontinental Champion because he was talented as fuck,
Yeah.
but him and Perfect worked their asses off at WrestleMania 7. And if it wasn't for Savage and Warrior, they'd have stole the fucking show.
But Mr. Perfect, he reminds me of one of those Shawn Michaels, Chris Jericho types that always elevate the match no matter what. Dolph Ziggler even though he oversells a lot. But Dolph Ziggler types, people that always gave you a great match. But you're right.
Well, they were all influenced by him.
Right. And
You could see it. You could see
Right.
him in them.
And comparative to them, you're right, he was more dominant, even without a title. The vignettes that this guy had, throwing the football to himself.
Yeah.
I mean, the gum, like, over.
I still to this day toss
I
my
do it all
fucking
the
gun like
time.
that.
I
I
do it
still
all
to
the
this
time.
day do that.
Just the coolest shit ever. He was the coolest guy. in
He
the
was
room
cool.
at all times.
He was just effortlessly cool.
They had who was the football player in that vignette where he threw it? I can't remember who it was. I just know when he threw it, he had a line and he looked up and he was like, what a perfect pass. And then when he caught it, and a perfect catch. And then Mr. Perfect runs down. It's like, oh my god, this guy's sweet.
He was what he said he was,
wasn't.
and he said he was.
All right, number 3, man. Let me get this out of here. The Rock, man. I had to give it to my man, The Rock. The Rock is
Which
number 3.
one?
I gotta
Which
go
reign?
early reign, Nation of Domination.
Oh, I was gonna say the Blue Tights Rock, the
Nah.
Die Rocky Die Rock.
No,
What?
not that one. Right after that one. The one that switched over to the Nation, and he was such a cocky son of a bee, and he really started his rise. That Rock, to me, absolutely phenomenal. The different scenes with Stone Cold, the pager, and all this stuff, throwing the IC title in the water, them going back and forth with that. Like him and Austin, you knew something great was coming down the line just from that era and them going back and forth. Him and Triple H had legendary matches over the IC title. I absolutely loved The Rock as a kid. He was my guy. Like, he was number one, creme de la creme, top of the line. The Rock was the guy, you understand what I'm saying? On the mic, when it came to it, it was nobody that could talk like he could talk. And as I've grown up, I've become more of an adult. As I've grown up and I've become more of an adult, I see that you know, I can listen to somebody like Austin, or I listen to somebody like Triple H from the 2001 era, and I see like, okay, these guys are fucking amazing on the mic.
Yeah.
They're more adult on the mic.
Right.
So The Rock was the type that he could connect to kids. He could make adults chuckle. The man had bravado, man.
He
was
did.
so swagged out.
I'm not going to be totally mad about it because when you look at it, he really didn't have the Intercontinental Championship for a while. For a long while. Like, really, he really had it for the better part of a year. It did help elevate him. It did help create the character. It did help establish the character and develop him as a person.
He couldn't take the reins of the nation without it.
Right. I feel like that era's Rock gets a lot more credit than, in my opinion, he deserved on the mic. I see what you're talking about, though, that he connects with kids.
Yeah.
Like you were talking about Stone Cold and Triple H. Because in my opinion, like, their mic work is better only because The Rock relied too heavily on the same shit over and over and over.
I'll sum it up for
spitting
you
out
perfect.
nursery rhymes and all that other shit.
I'll sum it up for you perfect. When CM Punk and The Rock went head to head and they jousted, who got the better of that to you?
I think it was relatively even, but I'd still give it to Punk.
Reason being, Punk was talking about real shit.
Yeah.
The Rock is joking. He's very funny, and he makes the crowd laugh, just like John Cena. That's why John Cena got The Rock when they went head to head a lot of the time, because Cena would hit the right notes that were real light jabs. You know, The Rock is saying stuff that makes you laugh, like you sitting there with looking like Chewbacca's furry fun bag or something. He says some weird shit like that, and you're like, what the fuck? He's the guy at the party everybody been drinking, and you're like, that's some funny. This guy's funny. I like this guy. Anybody know this guy? He's fucking funny. You know, but not like, he's not saying the poignant shit. Like, you're sober, you're like, oh,
yeah,
he's hitting me right now. Oh,
I'm not gonna completely hate on that.
I won't let you.
Of Rock as Intercontinental
Trust me,
Championship.
I got the tattoo.
Again, I would say, hey, put this shit away. This Allison Williams is not watching this shit. I would say, I would squabble a bit about the placement. In my opinion, I would say, Shelton was probably a better. I would say RVD may have been a better Intercontinental champion. That's just my personal. Well, we can squabble about the placement all we want to.
Here's the thing.
Him being on the list or an honorable mention is. I'm not gonna hate completely.
You're not wrong.
Nah. He can't bring himself to say.
I won't say he's right, but he's not wrong, and I'll tell you why he's not wrong. The Rock has never been the greatest when it comes to overall. Okay, let's be very clear. I am 100% Rock fan. The People's Elbow is the dumbest shit of all time.
Yeah, it is.
But I fucking loved it. I was the guy. I needed the elbow pads. I wanted to throw them motherfuckers off. I'm running, hitting my walls. I'm coming off. The motions. I had everything, Yeah. So for me, that's why he is so high on my personal IC list. It's not that he was better in ring. Like, I look at people like RVD and people like that we talked about. Even Jeff Hardy. Nobody's mentioned Jeff Hardy. I don't know if he's further on your list or whatever. But for me, he had some really impressive IC runs. But he never affected me the way The Rock did. So I'm giving The Rock this spot, this number 3 spot, off of effect alone. Along with the entertainment value. And then he could get in there and he could do his thing. He sold well. Because he took an ass whooping a lot.
Yeah, he did.
That's how he got through his matches, actually. A lot of them, if you watch, he used to get fucked up.
Yeah.
And then he would come back with the rock bottom.
Right.
And that's all you wanted from him, really. You wanted the spine buster, you wanted a
I
rock
hate
bottom.
that spine buster. Fuck that spine buster. That spine buster
Not like
was
Triple
shit.
H's, though. The double A spine buster,
The
Triple H
spine
stone.
on that pine was bullshit.
Listen, but it looked cool.
No.
All his shit
fucking
looked cool.
terrible. The number 2. Your number 2 was my number 3. Your number 3. Your number 2. Your number 2 Intercontinental Champion.
Hold on, I get Rock.
Is it the Rock? Is it the People's Elbow Pad? Is your number 2 Intercontinental Champion of all time?
Real quick, man. Which one?
He's not watching this shit either.
Oh, okay. Oh shit, you're right. He in Hollywood. Fuck Rock, man. He ain't even on my list no more. No, the number 2 gotta go to my man. I'm in the corner. I'm warming it up. I'm tuning up the band right now, man. I gotta give number 2 to my man, Shawn Michaels.
We agree again.
HBK.
We're right there again.
There was no disagreement.
That's my number 2 there again.
It couldn't be a disagreement.
My number 2 there again.
Couldn't be. You know why? Because you got to comment down below. Get down there. Oh shit, he said. He talk real fast. He be saying shit, man. He's no. But HBK, man, he's the greatest.
Yeah, his Intercontinental run was incredible. Multiple runs were incredible. Around the time of the first one, he worked with another guy on my list, Mr. Perfect, and that's really when he really started developing and like stealing some of his stuff. But his it wasn't Perfect's place to be Intercontinental Champion. It was his place to groom Shawn Michaels as Intercontinental Champion with some of the matches they had, and he fucking did. And you could see it, and there were some great fucking matches in '93. Right. And established Shawn Michaels in that Intercontinental run, and he had some amazing matches with Martin Jannetty and Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
Everybody.
Over the Intercontinental Championship belt. You were talking about this earlier with Razor Ramon. That era was around the time that Shawn had the Intercontinental belt. It was passed around the clique. Shawn Razor Diesel had the IC belt, and they were putting on some amazing matches.
Crazy.
Some of the best matches, if not the best matches on the card, because they were working with each other and they were doing the competition and having some great. You can find like some tag matches, some different matches from like Superstars or Coliseum videos or whatever. Fucking amazing. Shawn Michaels against 1-2-3 Kid, against Razor, all those ones. Fucking amazing. His IC title win from Jeff Jarrett in '95 was one of those things where, again, we're talking about the IC belt supposedly establishing somebody. Him winning that IC championship, even at 10 years old, I'm like, oh, he's about to be champion. Because I knew that he was using that and establish, because he'd already been there a couple times before. That was going to be his next step towards the heavyweight belt. It was just, Shawn as Intercontinental Champion worked every time it happened.
And he was just so entertaining. Like after post the Rocker, when he started to come out with the Heartbreak Kid music, the music.
Yeah.
All of that.
Shout out to Sherry for singing the first version of that song.
Yeah, yo, I heard it the other day. It kind of tripped me out because I almost forgot about it. So I was watching, I think the first Raw I was watching, and he came out, and I heard the music. I said, "Oh shit!"
You forgot Sherry sang the first version, didn't you?
This shit sounds weird. I was like, I forgot all about this one, but yeah, it just you know, he had everything, man. He had the look. He had the, even though he was small for WWE, right? Yeah, that's what I thought about it. But he had the moves. He had the look. He had the charisma. He had just the bravado, the cockiness you needed to be at that level, to be elevating yourself to somewhere else. Michaels had everything.
He was the contender for Bret Hart's Intercontinental Championship in the first ladder match WWF ever did. And in my opinion, that match was better than the WrestleMania 10 one. And the SummerSlam 95 match, him and Razor, again, underrated ladder match between the two of them. Fucking Shawn, that established the ladder match for Shawn, that established him fitting with the Intercontinental belt. He just fucking worked.
I had Pat Patterson because he is the IC belt. I mean, he's like the logo in basketball.
He won it in a tournament in Rio de Janeiro.
He is the IC belt. He's the logo. Okay. Stone Cold, man. I thought The Rock and him going back and forth. The Rock that high on my list. Austin had to be there. Jeff Jarrett, we talked about. He was one of those people, when he come out with Deborah and the guitar and the IC title, I fucking loved it. I thought it was dope. Dolph Ziggler, I think he's so underrated, and I think his run with The Miz recently makes him even, probably at this point, because when we did this originally, like I talked about, he actually was right at that line with Chyna for me, because Chyna really, she's just there because she's a female. At the end of the day, that's what it comes down to.
So sexist.
It wasn't the end.
So sexist.
100%. No, but
fucking sexist ass motherfucker.
If anything, that's motivational.
Sexist.
I'm upbuilding women.
Sexist.
I don't know what he's talking about.
Fucking sexist. Fucking misandrous.
If I was a sexist, I would have left her off. Ask how many women.
Misandrous ass motherfucker.
How many women made his list?
Misandrous ass motherfucker. That's terrible.
Is she number one?
That's terrible.
Wait, you got one spot left.
That's terrible.
He's had 9 men.
That's terrible. I have not had 9 men, and if I did, I was drunk. What are your other honorable mentions?
Ultimate Warrior, because I just like the way he looked with it. I was never a real big fan of his work, but I did like the image of him holding both belts up, even though that was the end of his IC title run. I still thought that was dope. Edge had great runs.
Yeah.
Randy Orton has to be an honorable mention, because I loved Randy with the title. I'm surprised he didn't make my list. It'll be between him and Dolph if I was to remove Chyna.
Mine, you mentioned a couple of them. I would say Randy Orton was an honorable mention. The reason he didn't make my list is because in going back and looking at his title reign, particularly on pay-per-views, he really didn't defend it a lot. He just had it.
Dean Ambrose, US title.
Yeah, he just had it. He was too embroiled and battled in the fucking feud with Cactus at the time, so he really wasn't defending it all that much.
At the moment. They didn't want the IC title.
Ric Flair. For the same reason, because he had it, but he didn't defend it all that often. Especially on pay-per-views. I would say Edge. I liked Edge. Edge's IC runs worked. Jeff Jarrett, again, the same reasons you had. I liked his IC title runs. Owen Hart. The reason why Owen didn't make the list is because his reigns were incredibly short. Were much shorter than I remember them being.
He had the Slammy along.
He had the Slammy and the tag belts with the two.
Right.
But his reigns were shorter than I remember them being, so he didn't necessarily make the list. I almost wanted to say Ahmed John. I'll shout out Ahmed a little bit because his win was impressive against Goldust. His win was like a big dominant win, but he got injured. He was sloppy in the ring. You know what I mean? Looking back on it, he got injured real quick after winning the IC belt. He was supposed to go into a feud with Farouk when he first got in, and then immediately got injured.
Shouts to Ezekiel Jackson, man. Slams on demand.
Fucking
Because if he don't shout out
fucking
Johnson,
Ezekiel Johnson,
I'm shouting out
it's fucking Ezekiel
Jackson,
Johnson of all people.
Yeah, slams on demand, baby.
William Regal. William Regal's another one.
I can respect that.
Because his reigns were too short, Rey Mysterio and CM Punk, and for no other reason than the rivalry that it produced. Mm-hmm. And
Zack Ryder for winning at WrestleMania. Are you shouting him out?
That was. Why did they the next night? God damn it!
It was so.
The next they couldn't even let him fucking breathe with the shit.
Well, you know what? Let me say one thing on that. It wasn't like they gave him the world title.
But let him establish himself.
That's my point. It was the IC title, and they took it in a night.
In a night.
They caned him
in a night
for the IC title. They caned him for the IC title.
And by the way, he got such a big pop.
Oh, he did.
Wherever I was watching, I forget where I was watching it, but he got such a big fucking pop for winning that shit.
They did the vignette afterwards with Razor. I'm done. Zack Ryder, man. Shouts to you, man.
Oh, it's just damn
Rough
shame.
Riders,
Damn shame what they did to him.
I love the Rough Rider.
Jericho has some good IC runs. He's record holder.
Yes, sir.
He had some good IC, but he had some good runs with the IC belt.
Definitely.
So honorable mention goes to them.
My number one was his last honorable mention, and that's gonna be my man Y2J. Okay, because he saved us. That's what he did.
All right.
He saved us.
All right.
Okay.
My man.
The man came out on the Rock. He had the cojones to enter on the Rock.
But how about his Intercontinental runs?
That's not what I'm talking about yet.
We are.
I'm using background.
We are. That's the whole fucking video.
Let me ask you a question. Do you lubricate before?
After.
Or do you just go for it? That's what I thought. The man did
whichever Allison Williams wants. It's up to her. It's her choice.
Leave my baby out of these conversations.
It's her choice.
Jericho, man, he had great runs in my opinion. He had multiple runs. He is the all-time run leader when it comes to this belt. He is the Ric Flair of the IC title, even though Ric Flair held the IC title.
Yes.
Okay? Jericho left and came back, and always found his way back to gold. That in itself is a great accomplishment because over years you can lose relevance and not really follow that path. And Jericho's a worker, man. We were talking about Eddie. He's always been a worker. Never really been a jobber. He'll get people over. He gave Fandango a big push at WrestleMania. Yeah. It didn't kill Jericho at all.
No, it didn't.
It didn't kill him at all. My point being, the man has been doing it for years. He walks around with gold on his tights. And Brent, I'm going to say something to you right now. Jericho's tights may be right.
He's the greatest of all time?
He may be the greatest of all time. He's putting his soul
he's arguably
in that conversation.
He's in that conversation.
Years later. And not only is he still putting on good matches, but are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
Well, what else he's doing is he's doing the thing that we talked about Perfect doing earlier, in that he's not necessarily there to get himself over. He's there to get other. At this point in his career, he's getting other guys over,
and he's right there in that conversation for greatest of all time. I don't give a fuck what y'all say.
I can't.
Jericho!
I can't hate on that. His rivalries for the IC belt with Ray and Ziggler, what was it, 5 or 6 years ago? Stole the show. They were amazing matches. They fucking stole the show.
One more thing. I completely forgot about this. The adaptability of Jericho in ring.
Yeah.
If he wrestles Rey Mysterio, he wrestles like the Big Show. The slams and all this kind of stuff. If you watch those matches, the kind of stuff he would do to this guy, the gorilla presses into knees and shit. And then when he wrestles Triple H or he wrestles somebody like that, and he's got a title, he's flying around the ring. He's diving.
Vicious.
All time, man.
Vicious.
Stop.
My number one Intercontinental champion is if you watched my top 20 wrestlers of all time, this shouldn't be too much of a surprise. It's the bad guy Chico's Razor Ramon. He was my favorite wrestler growing up. He was the first wrestler I ever paid attention to. The first wrestling match I paid attention to because my grandfather watched wrestling all the time. I didn't give a damn. I was playing with my Ninja Turtles. But then the first one I paid attention to was Razor versus the Kid, where the Kid beat him. It's the first one I paid attention to. And then, despite him losing, Razor became my favorite wrestler. And for all the reasons that you brought up before, he was so crisp when he was crisp. Those punches were on point. Him, Brett, and Kurt probably have the 3 best punches in the business ever. When we go back to the matches the Click had over the IC Championship around that same time, you mentioned Diesel. Razor worked different styles with Diesel than he did with Shawn. And the matches that he had with those two, the Kid, Mario Jannetty, all the tag matches and stuff he had where he was either the Intercontinental Champion or surrounding the Intercontinental belt was great. The match that he was awarded after beating Martel was great. His performance at the Survivor Series 93 and 94, amazing matches. And he was IC champ at the time. Then fucking the SummerSlam match, him and Diesel. The ladder match, him and Shawn. Fucking Razor Ramon with that Intercontinental Championship belt was really good, and Scott Hall was fucking working with that Intercontinental belt. He was fucking working, and it fucking worked. Again, we were talking about the look and the aesthetic. We're talking about the slick back, greased up hair with the fucking Tony Montana. Although it was more, the look was more Tony's protege, but the talk of Tony Montana, the Scarface look, with the gold around the neck, the gold around the fingers, and the gold around the waist. And if something happened to the gold, something happened to you. And it all because of the gaudiness, his particular brand of gaudiness with the gold and the fucking taco meat on his chest and everything. Him with that gold belt just seemed to work because it's like anybody else, because it's like, yeah, I could see that guy walking around with a big gold belt even if he wasn't a wrestler. Right. And his work that he had with Jeff Jarrett over it and Goldust, which was disturbing, but it came at a time where it was like the change was happening in society as a whole, so and the WWF too, so it fucking worked. From 93 to 95, I think was his last one.
He's on that Charlotte shit.
Two fucking years. But it was so natural. Like that, right? No, exactly. Him without the belt became weird.
Right.
The same way not seeing Mr. Perfect, at least in the Intercontinental title run, looked weird. Razor not without the belt looked fucking
Let me ask you right now, who's your guy in real life right now who looks weird without the belt? That when you see him, it feels strange. 'Cause I got one right now.
Without a belt or without the Intercontinental belt?
Just a belt.
Without a belt, it looks
fits
weird.
In that mold.
Who's working right now?
Who's working right now that disturbs you a little when you see him without a title? Because I got one that I've gotten so used to that it just messes me up when I don't see it.
Without a belt? I don't know that I necessarily have one that without a belt looks weird.
I'll give you one. AJ Styles now. When I see him come out, he has a hoodie, and I got used to it being under the every time I see him, I feel like something's missing. Yeah. It's strange. Yes. It messes me up, but that's just a caveat aside because you're talking about it. But it just seems a little weird now. But go ahead.
Yeah, but that's why I put Razor as number 1 and IC champ on my list.
You know, I'm not gonna say he's wrong.
We're gonna put that on the shirt because I'm fucking right.
But listen,
because you can't.
Clearly the greatest of all time, definitely in the Intercontinental ranks,
is Razor Ramon. We just established that. I just said
Y2J.
it. I just said it.
Chris
I just
Jericho.
said it was Razor Ramon.
Okay. Ask him where Razor is right now.
Here's why I wouldn't put Y2J as my favorite Intercontinental champion of all time.
Where's Razor?
I can't remember all of Y2J's Intercontinental reigns. I can remember all of Razor's.
You know why?
They were all memorable.
You know why?
Razor's were all memorable.
I got you. Why don't we just
Jericho's
talk about something?
always.
It was this stretch of 2 years. It was 2 years, right? You got to remember though, this is the same guy who put Triple H on his top 10, and he had the belt for what, a minute?
It was an amazing fucking memorable minute. What the fuck are you talking about?
Minute Man.
It was a fucking potential.
Yo, Jericho
for that
is
shit.
62-minute man.
Jericho.
He's got posters.
Jericho's title reigns. A good number of them were fucking forgettable, and you know it.
You people see how I'm looking at you?
Fucking forgettable, and you know it.
See, I'm starting to turn
That's
my
the
back
problem.
here.
They were fucking forgettable, and you know it. That's why I can't put them on my fucking list like that. They're fucking forgettable. I remember a couple of them.
You know why you feel like they were forgettable?
Because they were fucking forgettable.
Because every one of them was entertaining and action-packed.
They were fucking
It was
forgettable.
so
is
many
why.
of them.
No, it's because
He
they
has
were fucking
so many
forgettable is
moments
why.
that you can't encompass it.
It's fucking forgettable.
That's why he's put himself in the conversation.
And maybe the
greatest.
worst one was him co-IC champion with fucking China. That shit was ludicrous.
You mean number 10, China?
That shit was ludicrous.
Who held the title longer?
That
Triple H?
shit was ludicrous. That shit was nuts.
Y2J. GOAT.
Anyway, don't listen to this motherfucker. But if you do decide to listen to this motherfucker, you can find him
At 1989 TRE on Facebook. That's my music page.
Links down
Or you
there.
can find me at DNA Wrestling,
Links
which
down there.
is also one of my groups. Sports Central and also Non-Stop Entertainment. I'm your boy Trey Sykes. It's down there. You're lucky this camera stops here because it get different in this room. That's all I'm saying.
This is Long Beach, but
true.
I'm not that drunk.
That's true.
You can find me, Surreal469, on everything.
Down
Quite
there.
literally everything.
Down
Snapchat, Twitter, this shit, everything. Surreal469, SURREAL, the numbers 469.
I'm a nice guy from a nice place with a nice smile on my nice face. Turn your back and I'm making sure my knife's straight. And when you're out of town, I'll be making sure your wife's straight.